you so much. So recording is now in progress, so that means we are official, everyone. So thank you so much for having me. Thanks for getting me set up, Rich. I appreciate it very much. And thank you, everyone, for joining. I see some states, and we've got Michigan and New York and coastal Georgia. So a beautiful part of the country. I am right down the road in Tennessee. So glad to see you. So everyone, I again am Stephanie from Siser, North America. And tonight we are going to talk about decorating kind of outside the box. We think about HTV so often for apparel, but do we think about it for hard goods like books? Well, I am definitely a big reader, so I love having books and journals and kind of repurpose it and decorating them. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about. So I have a couple of journals that are here, and you can see different textures and different types. So these are just some different journals and books, and we're going to talk about how to decorate those. And I'm going to walk you through our software, Leonardo, and any of these can be used with any other software that you have. I'm just going to be showing ours. So hopefully I have no issues sharing screen. So let's see how that goes. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go into our software and show you, and then we're going to make a couple and talk about some ideas. I cannot see comments when I'm sharing screen. So Rich, feel free to blurt out anything that comes up, because I know it's hard for me to see it, and interrupt it anytime, because I know how it is when somebody has a question, and it probably means I need to take a pause anyway. So let's try sharing that screen and going over to Leonardo. And it looks like it showed right up for me. So I am in what I would call my design space of Leonardo. So a couple of things that I love with any software is when you get free designs with that software. So that's the first thing we're going to do. We're just going to start off with something that is free in our software and kind of show you some ways to redo that. So I'm going to go over to my design library, and you can see the last thing I searched was coffee, but I'm going to do it again just so that you can see how easy it is to search and to look around. So obviously I said coffee, and here are some different designs that come up with coffee. This is about how I feel right now. I feel like I'm that skeleton at the moment needing my cup of coffee. And then let's turn the page and you can see more images. I'm going to go to page 1, and I'm going to choose no coffee, no work. So I'm going to select that and say open design. And this is a cute design all by itself, but I want to kind of use it for how I would like to do this project. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to ungroup this. And I am going to take away some elements, and you can just see me selecting and getting rid of some things. So really what I want is the cute coffee mug. And that's the element that I want. But I like to show that even though you have designs, that you can break them apart and take elements that you like from them. So that way you're not wasting anything. Some people will cut it and then kind of throw pieces away. But I'm kind of this is the only piece that I need. So now I have my cute little coffee cup. I need some text to go with it. So I'm going to go down to the bottom of my screen, and you can see where I have T for text. Select that, and I'm going to type in the word Java, if I can spell, because, you know, those skills come in handy every now and then. And I'm going to scroll through some different fonts to kind of see. There's one that's jumping out at me. Let's see. Let me take. You know, one of the fun things is I have a new computer and I have new fonts from this new computer and haven't mixed everything, but I kind of like that Java. So I'm going to say apply. And I'm going to make that one bigger. Java. And I'm going to go back and do the word journal. And I may do it in the same font, but maybe I'll try something different. Let's see. Kind of do like that one. That one's not bad either. Let's look and see how that one looks. I like that the Java. So tell me if y'all like this font. Do we like Java or journal font better? Kind of like that thin, maybe Java thick and journal thin because I need more coffee than I need my journal right now. So Java journal, and then I'm going to go back to my T and I'm going to do an and symbol because it's Java and journal. And that way I have my and symbol. Don't love that one. Let's see. I like that better. So I have it somewhat laid out, Java and journal and my coffee mug. I'm going to kind of move this over. So one of the things that we need to know is what size is the journal that we're creating with. So I have my handy dandy tape measure right beside me. And this journal is 6 by 8. So I like to just go down to my shapes and draw a 6 by 8. So you can see that I have my size here, but I also can go under my properties and I'm going to unlock and I'm going to say that I want my width to be 6 inches. And I want my height to be 8 inches. Because we really don't want to make a design that's too big and does not fit on the journal that we're creating, correct? And I kind of like changing colors. So to me, looking at a black blob, I want to kind of look at it in the color of the journal. So I'm going to go over to my pinks. And there is that sweet kind of a blush color. So now this is the size that I have. And that, so when this happens, I'm going to select it. I'm going to go to order and tell that to go to the back. So I might need to change the word journal just a little because it really is stretching the limits, and Java looks okay. So let's just change this just a smidge. And I'm going to move the and out of this way for just a moment. And we'd like those to line up. So at the bottom of my screen, I have space objects, and I'm going to tell that to align. And see how that just very gently lined up so that it was ready and lined. Here, see how my and is? I want to create an offset to kind of knock that out a little bit better. So I have selected my and symbol. I'm going to go to the bottom and I'm going to build a contour. And another thing that some people would say is offset. So I want to have an editable offset. I'm going to change the color so that I can see it a little bit better. And there, and apply. The reason that I have made this is I want to knock out some space to make room for my and symbol. So I'm going to select my coffee mug and my and center that. It would be helpful if I could hold my mouse key and everything at the same time. There we go. Now I want to select my and my coffee mug. And I'm going to knock that out or remove front. And do you see how right there it's now made space? And I can zoom in so that you can see that, because I know on the screen, I basically wanted to knock the vinyl around it out so that I have room to place this in. Of course, I don't remember exactly. There we go. I got it. That way it knocks that out so that I have a smooth place to put that and symbol. And I'm going to move that one smidge there. And you can see how the triangle right here just fits right into that and sign. So now I could group all of this together, and I want to make sure that it's all the same color when I get ready to cut it. I want it to be black. Any questions on what I've done so far before we get ready to cut this piece?
Not seeing any questions in the chat, but feel free to drop those in there and we'll get them over to Stephanie for you.
Thank you so much. And now we can make sure that all of that does fit on. And I could be ready to cut that. So we're going to go over to my send screen and I'm going to send everything. And here is my file that I just created. I can click and tell it to mirror image, and I can also add a weed box if I wanted one. But those are all just very quick way to show how easy it is to measure and add different elements that were free. And we will, with the magic of, technology, we'll let that cut while I'm talking. And then we will come back and I will press that. So let me change camera views and stop sharing for just a moment. And that way I'm back in reality here. So I had already cut and weeded one of these and somewhat of just to kind of show you, because it's quite easier to do that without trying to do that on my live as I'm cutting and trying to weed. And then I'm just going to set it down so that you can see, and we will press that in just a few moments. And I reached over and turned my heat press on, and that way we can be letting it warm up. And then we're going to go back and do another design, because Java might not be your cup of tea or cup of coffee. And let's look at some other samples. So I have a skeleton that her name is Gemma. She's hot pink. I post her on social media. She has a boyfriend named Jared that lives outside of St. Louis. And so we do some content. So for that, I'll show you one of the books that I created. And this is The Overthinker. So some of us may fall into that category just a little bit. And then I used a similar graphic and just changed some things. This one is on a t-shirt reading a book, and it says The Reader. So I like that you can take an SVG and use it on soft goods, a t-shirt, or you can use that on hard goods also. So another example, even, this was classic horror stories, and I designed the different elements and then even put on the side classic horror stories. So that way when it's put up, it looks like it's a book, and that way you can kind of customize yours the way that you like it the best. So you can see I have some other journals here that we can press on also. So how many like to decorate non-traditional things? Is it just me? Surely somebody else out there is kind of like me and you like to decorate other items. I love doing bookmarks. I love everything kind of bookish. And to me, it's such an easy, quick gift to be able to personalize. I do them for weddings and have people write messages in them and then give that as a gift afterwards. So lots of reasons that you can decorate for, like I said, I like horror stories. I love journaling, but all different examples of why you might want one. So let's share my screen again, and I'm going to walk you through another type that we could do. So let's say share my screen, and there we go. So let's start a new page. I'm going to just close, and there we go. So sometimes you have SVGs that you have purchased and maybe you want to add to those. So I'm going to give an example of that and say File and Open. And let's go to my download, and I just have the word Floral Books. And this is just a cute little SVG that you could use for several different things. And I'm going to make it big for the moment, just so you can kind of see it. And we'll go through the same thing that we did and adding some fonts and checking our size for this. And to me, this is a cute design. I have made it several times for being able to color it in and with sublimation markers. So a lot of different ways that you can use that. So again, I'm going to go over to my T for text. And I'm going to type in, let's see. I hope this I have my view in the way here. Year is a. I hope this year is a. And then I'm going to add page turner is the rest of the phrase that I'm going to add on that one. And being able to type is really good when you're doing these things. And let's choose a different font for the page turner. Does anybody have a zillion fonts that you have your very favorite fonts? I go through different stages with fonts, and I need to get them all over onto my new computer so that I have them here. And Adele, if you've not seen that, is one of my new favorite cursive fonts. I like that one. I hope this year is a page turner. Yeah. And I'm going to look at this font and see if I can. I want something, there we go. I want something kind of thin. And let's align those up together. And now I need to draw my rectangle. And again, let's change the size of this to 6 by 8. I'm going to change the color of that again. And you can tell that I really need to change the size of everything. And I like designing big and then shrinking it as I need it, just because I have contacts and glasses, and it's easier to see when it's big versus when it's tiny on the screen. So I'm going to group that together for the moment and change the order of that and send it to the back. So what do you think of this design? So that way, that kind of lets me see my sizing and how that would look. And let's talk about what would we put down the spine of that one. So some things, I could just say, my name. Just to talk about the sizing. Found that. Well, it would help if I didn't hit delete when I'm moving around on my mouse. That might help me. Why? And the spine of my book is right at 1/2 inch. So let's change and make sure that my size is 0. So now I could cut this, and I'm going to change it sideways. And this one I will cut while we're talking so that y'all can see me do one thing cutting live. I will send that one to my cutter. I say I'm going to send that. My power plug just came undone, so give me one moment and I will cut. The things Rich and I were saying, when you're live, you never know what might happen during a live. Sometimes it's cameras falling. For this one, I did not have one of my power cord to my cutter plugged in. There we go. I can even so that way you can see that it's coming off mine right here. I have a pair of scissors. And we will cut and weed that real quick and show that pressing on also. And I can see some comments that have come up. So let's see if I...
Mostly a lot of folks saying they really love the idea and they can't wait to try it themselves.
To me, I will chat while I'm weeding this, and let's change my view here. I like to take old books and I spray paint them, and I'll weed and y'all can talk as I'm talking here. I like to take old books and, repurpose them. I spray paint them a lot of times, and then we'll decorate them for just to have as decoration pieces. Sometimes if you have seen where you can fold the pages to create things. So if the pages are going to look pretty when you origami those, I like the outside of it to look pretty also. So that way we can see how I did with my letters here. And I got it just on the money out of this. So perfect job, if I do say so myself. And I will even show you as I move things around here. This is a quiet group. We usually have a little bit more. Pamela, you're usually chiming in a little on the comments, so I'm not used to such a quiet group. Yes, Ellie Mae, I agree that you can find lots of books at yard sales and things. I'm a book lover, and my grandmother belonged to the Reader's Digest Club. So I have hundreds and hundreds of just good hardbound books. And, I don't have the heart to always give them away. So I do try to repurpose those, and I do try to kind of, give them new life, because I feel like, that's the fun of being able to craft, and that's the fun of being able to repurpose. One of my favorite things to do right this moment, since we're chatting about books and I'm trying to see if I can reach one of them, does everybody know what cheesecloth is? Or fishnet stockings would be another thing. So I like to get books and spray paint them, and then put either fishnet stockings over it or cheesecloth and spray that to give it a texture and to give it a different background. And then to start adding vinyl to it. So you can see how I have got my name ready to put down the side of that one. And we have some choices. So I have cut this in I have this in pink, and that was the hope. I hope this year is a page turner. I have it in black. So this is where I need your help. So do we want to do, I hope this year is a page turner, pink and black? Or do we want to do a tone on tone? Because we know I like a tone on tone kind of thing. So pink on pink. So I need to know, I have one pink, and I do have a black. So yes, you're correct. So we could do pink on black. So we have pink on black, and we have pink on pink, and I have black on pink. So six.
I think you've got one of each. One vote for each.
Oh, we got a pink on pink. Somebody else chiming in. Pink on black pops, black on pink. So we're going black on pink, black on pink. Yep. And then we'll do the pink on black. So thank you, because I love asking, and so that you get to see, and you get to have, you get to have some comments on how to do it. And then I'm going to do the pink on black. We'll press that one. And remember, I made the Java and journal, and we're going to put that one on a gray journal. So the first thing, so let's talk about heat press. If you don't have a heat press, let's talk about some of those things. So you can use an iron. Obviously, we can use irons. The one thing that I always will say again and again and again, don't do it on an ironing board. I would do it either on a cabinet that's, height, where you can put some weight into it, or on a coffee table and put like a butcher block down. That way you can apply pressure. When you're doing it on your ironing board, when you're pressing kind of hard, you can actually, break your ironing board. We won't say who did that ever. And when you break the ironing board, it may scare you so badly that you drop the iron and it falls to your floor and it melts a triangle in your carpet. I'm not going to say who did that. I'm not going to say that I had a box in the middle of my floor for about 6 months and never admitted it to my husband, and we got new flooring. So he's not watching tonight, so we won't tell him. So very specific, be careful pressing. Also, on the ironing boards, it has that sponge, and you want to have something a little firmer underneath it. So having either, like I said, that butcher block, a ceramic tile, that way that's something firm underneath when you go to press it. And then you're going to want to, I say, white knuckle press and up and press and up. You're not going to move it around and iron it. You're going to hard knuckle press and release on that. So that's if you're using a home iron. do not use steam. So another thing to kind of note that you're just going to use heat. Checking your temperature between linen and cotton. It's good to know kind of how your iron, how hot it is. Different brands, I have 4 different brands, and they dramatically range in temperature. So I like to recommend Harbor Freight, Tool, Northern Tool, Lowe's. They have an infrared thermal gun. They're about $17 that you can infrared, and it'll give you a temperature reading. So that way you'll know, is your cotton 305 or 205 or 400, because that makes a vast difference. And I'm laughing because I can see Patrick in, and Patrick may have done some of those things similarly. Not going to say for sure. So if you're using an easy press, one of the things that I recommend on that one, look at, again, temp settings. We say typically about 30 degrees warmer than what it is. So, because they tend to read 305, but they're not quite 305. They're usually about 280. And then lastly, with the heat press, which is what I have beside me, we're going to make sure to change the pressure so that my journal will fit underneath it. So all of those things. And if you have any questions about time or temp on any Siser product, 2 things. We have an app, and you can download that app, or you can go to SiserNA.com, and all of those heat press instructions and cutting instructions are listed there. So let's go over to my heat press. Let me change that view real quick so that you can see. And there we go. So the first thing, I want to make sure that my pressure is okay. So I have journal, and I'm just going to check. Yep, there we go. And I'm going to preheat that for just a few seconds. It's just nice to get that warm and ready. And then I say that all the time, Suzanne. There's an app for that. And there we go. And I have that at going 305 for 10 seconds. And this was that kind of felted-y wool one. And you can see that coming off the press. I have pulled that carrier sheet off. And you can see how gorgeous that looks. So the next one, I've got the black on pink. And this one is more of that like faux leather. And I'm going to press this one just a little bit. And counting down. The book is a little warm. And look how gorgeous those little lines did. So that was that color. And last but not least is the pink one that we did, that you gave me ideas of colors. So do we feel like there's a ooh and a ah? How beautiful. And last but not least, how would we do the spine? So I'm going to show you how easy it is. So I have this on the spine. And you can see heat press. I'm just going to bring the heat press down to it so that you can see that. I'm going to move the camera just a smidge. And you can see that that heat press, I'm just pressing it right on there. with pressure. And there's so now that we have them pressed, you know, which is your favorite? Do we like the pink and black or the black and pink black binder? Which you'll have to let me know what your favorite was. And now you can see the Java and journal.
Looks like they're loving all of them.
But, you know, to me, it's just such a fun way to, so, you know, just imagine you could have whatever the bridal party color is, or you could do white with any kind of color vinyl and do, you know, just a silhouette of a bride and a groom and have that and put the, you know, pass it around and let people do, you know, well wishes. One of the things that I've seen recently at weddings is, you know, your best 3 pieces of advice. And they're not supposed to read it until their year anniversary. So that's just something that you could create and keep as a keepsake. For myself, and this, I hate to date myself, but this year is the 50th anniversary of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And so I am working on a themed book for the Rocky Horror Picture Show. But so many cute ways that you could do. You could do your kids' favorite books and titles to be able to decorate those. So you kind of tell me now that you've seen, what would be something that you would create and an idea of something that you might create. And we could even go back into software and look at and see what we might have in Leonardo. So would you be like me and be that overthinker? And, you know, this is definitely part of my personality, is showing that. And yes, I think this, you know, and all of these journals came from Michael's, and you can look and see different, you know, they have different ones. It was funny to even, I was laughing because the receipt fell out when I went to press this and it was falling down. And I love the different colors. I even really enjoy the different textures because this one, like I said, it's not flannel feeling. It's kind of, it's more fuzzy, and different types of HTV look different on it also. But now we have lots to, I have several gifts now made that I can give away. And I'll be ready for the next, you know, birthday, the next anniversary, the next occasion. So, and then, like I said, you can do that same type of a design. And then, you know, that one was the t-shirt that I had made to go with, because, you know, sometimes you need things to match a little bit. So I ready for Cruise 2026. Yes, Suzanne, I'm definitely ready. I actually may have just hid something in the background that I was working on. So you never know. So I, you know, I love doing what I do and getting to craft and getting to talk and educate with it. And Patrick, I appreciate you being in the comments tonight and helping me out. I know that you may be a little bit jet lagged, so I appreciate you being here. And everybody else that joined, I cannot say thank you enough. And I am surprised because we did get done a little bit earlier than normal, but we didn't have as many questions. And technology, everything was working for us. Rich had us up and going at 6 p.m. sharp. So that was wonderful. And let's see. And I appreciate everybody being here. When you're watching rewatch, make sure you can come to Siser North America support group. And we have that link going in also. So that way, let us know what you thought when you watch it on rewatch, and post and let us see what all you make, because it makes us very happy to see what you're doing. So everybody, thank you so much. Michaels, thank you so much for having us. Siser loves being able to collaborate and educate, and we appreciate you very, very much. Everybody have a great night, and I will see you soon.